Hazard Control Technologies presents Hydrolock Encapsulator technology. This demonstration shows Hydrolock Encapsulator agent's ability to encapsulate crude oil for faster bioremediation. Here we have U.S. EPA referenced South Louisiana crude oil. This is the type of crude oil spilled in the Gulf of Mexico in 2010. We're going to add the crude oil to water. You will notice the crude oil immediately floats to the surface of the water because the specific gravity of the crude oil is lighter than the water. Even after stirring, the oil remains on the surface. We're going to repeat this, again pouring the South Louisiana crude oil into the water. Again, the oil is lighter than the water and remains on the surface. We're now going to mix a small amount of Hydrolock Encapsulator agent into one of the crude oil water beakers. This will encapsulate the oil and solubilize it into the water. We've mixed in the Hydrolock. As you can see, the Hydrolock encapsulates the oil and completely disperses it throughout the water. So we are taking a non-soluble liquid, Louisiana crude oil, and solubilizing it into the water. Next, we're going to demonstrate what Hydrolock can do to crude oil that is washed ashore. Here is the untreated, non-solubilized Louisiana crude oil and water. As you can see, the water is heavier than the crude oil and readily soaks into the sand. The oil is lighter and remains on the surface of the beach. On this side, the Hydrolock has solubilized the oil like sugar in water. In a situation where crude oil has contaminated a beach, spraying 3% Hydrolock mixed with water will solubilize the crude oil. The encapsulated crude oil will soak into the sand where it will be naturally bioremediated by the microorganisms in the sand. On the one side, you have a beach coated with crude oil, destructive to wildlife and disruptive to tourism. On the other side, Hydrolock has been applied to the crude oil. As a solubilized mixture, like sugar and water, it soaks into the beach and is naturally bioremediated below the surface. Hydrolock is harmless to wildlife and actually enriches the natural bioremediation process. Can Hunter in Alberta, Canada, routinely bioremediated dry sol, a hydrocarbon drilling fluid. They performed some field testing with Norwest Laboratories to see if they could accelerate the bioremediation process with Hydrolock. They selected a section of land contaminated with dry sol and applied a 3% Hydrolock and water solution. In one designated area, they applied Hydrolock every month for the next 4 months. 5 months later, the land receiving one application of Hydrolock reduced petroleum parts per million by 59%. The other section that received 5 monthly treatments reduced their petroleum parts per million by 76%. Normal bioremediation at Can Hunter took 2 to 5 years. Spectrum Analytical in Massachusetts performed some laboratory testing of Hydrolock on soil samples contaminated with petroleum. After 14 days of incubation, multiple samples were tested for pH, VOCs, HPC, TPH, and SVOCs. The HPC test, or heterotrophic plate count, showed significant bacteria growth, proving Hydrolock accelerated bioremediation. TPH, or total petroleum hydrocarbon testing, showed a 33% reduction in petroleum in only 14 days. We know hydrolock encapsulates hydrocarbons, but in doing so, it exposes more surface area for the microbial process, providing more oxygen and creating a nutrient-rich environment that enhances the bioremediation process.